The Moon Giveth Her Own Light podcast. And yeah, we like to air it out and talk about all the various truths and weird things that have been in our lives all along and things that we're just figuring out now. So, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's like every week I feel like there's something new. I've been really getting my teeth into the Bible recently. Genesis, it's crazy. Like each chapter I'm finding out like more and more. It's so in depth just trying to figure out the first two chapters.
Yeah, dude, I think they really undersell the capacity that what water's role is in life.
What water's role is?
Yeah, in life, like the notion of the heavens being beyond the firmament, and the firmament being like the waters above. I think that really
being born of water.
Being born of water, and yeah, I think that the other element of the moon, and I think the moon does have some role with water, but it's not necessarily what they say with the tides. And I think
the high tide isn't just at noon every day, right? Whenever the moon is at its peak.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't exactly equate to that, and I think, but it may have aquatic properties that they're diminishing with the programming.
Oh. Yeah, after waking up to flat Earth, it's like, what is really like a true solar eclipse? And it's so interesting to see how the gases in the atmosphere like interact when they're both together. The sun and the moon. It's not like you see stars, but it does. There's some crazy interaction that's happening when you combine like that.
Yeah, there is. You're actually looking at it clearly now.
Dude, I think I have a picture of right here. It is crazy to look at. I could send a video.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know what I was saying about learning this week. It's like oral sex. It seems kind of twisted that we do that. It's gonna sound out of this world, But we gotta get an explanation of it before the recording. It's hard to keep paying at the same time over and over. But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is in the midst of the garden, as well as the tree of life, which is clearly a sexual reference if you read the end of Revelation, referring to menstruation, each fruit for each month kind of thing. But there's also this tree of good and evil, which is what Satan tries to convince Eve to eat of. And what is this fruit that we're talking about for Eve? It's good for food, apparently, that is pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to be more wise. You think of the fruit thereof, right?
Yeah. It was like Satan's weird transfiguration, his like shape shifting, like caused her to eat of something that was foul. And yeah.
Apparently, Satan was beautiful. I don't know. That was in heaven, though. He's just a snake at this point that doesn't fall on his stomach. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
the curses and the blessings of God. There's so much to unravel because those affect us to today.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so interesting. And also, it's like, so her husband was just with her while he was watching it happen because he was the one, that was the tree. Why would Adam not be trying to stop it, right?
Yeah, he interceded.
Also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Yeah, and the eyes of them were naked, and they knew that they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. They heard a voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord. The woman whom thou gavest to me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. Okay, and so then God said unto the woman, why is that thou hast done this? The woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And it makes sense the kind of beguiling that's happening. And feeling like a god during oral sex, like seen as God. It does really feel like that because you are being worshipped with oral sex. It's not. It's definitely not like very both sided in my opinion.
Yeah. In that sense, yeah, it's not like an even keel position. It seems like the one is getting a lot, even if there is reciprocity with it, just the feeling of it, the actual action of it. Yeah, it's a bit odd, and I don't know if you do think of it like we are.
Think of the, like an episode of Family Guy when they have oral for 15 minutes, then Peter hits the timer, and then it's his turn for 15 minutes, so they both have like an equal amount of hooked up shit in their system.
Oh God, yeah, that's weird. Yeah. Yeah, it's strange to think about it that way, but yeah, there is definitely like kind of the worship aspect of it, where it's like with standard or like normal sex, it is more even, and it's like you are like kind of coming to this middle ground where you're finding God in that, where maybe like the epiphanies or the orgasm from oral sex, it does have something to do with this kind of like worshiping, like you're being put in this position that you shouldn't be in, like you shouldn't be. Yeah. And then it makes you feel weird afterwards, and yeah, I don't know, like there's something, I think porn is more obviously like wrong to look at than that, but there is something about it, like when if you've either gotten or given head, there's something about it that does feel like that. And it was hard to put a word on it, but maybe that is just it, where it's like you're worshiping somebody where they're like not supposed to be treated like that until, I don't know, ever really. And
it's not like our bodies are built. Like if you're doing tongue really good, like the underneath your tongue, like that little thing right there, that'll hurt. That'll be very hot if you're doing it too much. And I'm sure like down a micro penis and head isn't like always the most pleasant experience. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it is, and I think a lot of this world.
It takes too long for me personally. Like I'm not a fan.
No, yeah, I think like you hit the nail on the head though with the worship aspect of it. I think people get off on that. Like that's what is so. It's just the way it looks. It's so, I don't know. It is kind of like taking it to the next level where it's weird though, because it's also, it kind of does take us back to this Garden of Eve, Adam and Eve thing, where it's like we thought we were beautiful, but then we had to hide ourselves because we started. We'd seen the good and evil in the world, and now we don't have to like run around naked anymore. We have to clothe ourselves and hide ourselves, and there's something to that where I don't know, like with fellatio, with cunnilingus, with these things, it is like worshiping the body, like really like doing like if you go all the way out, that's how I used to think about it was, like I really want to appreciate the entirety of my partner's body, but then it's like, I don't know, it's like if she knew better than I did, she kind of just like, she did say before we had this conversation that she wasn't like, weeks before, like months before, that like it wasn't great. She just didn't like, it wasn't her favorite aspect of it, and she could go without it. And we didn't like go into depth about it, but it makes me think now that like there is that weird aspect to it, and it makes the partner, somebody, it makes either of us feel comfortable in some way, because there's something that's in the back of our head that's telling us this isn't right. This is something that's been like perverted and sold to us as something else.
My strat for like literally like probably like a year and a half, or into our sex lives, we just had oral like over my lifespan.
Wow. I mean, and then that whole thing with the strat thing, like I remember how difficult it was to pleasure a strat, where it's almost like that was kind of the de facto, or just even using your hands, because traditional sex didn't work as well. So it's like we kind of leaned into those areas because we just assumed that was normal. Yeah. And then now that, I mean, I found a regular woman who's like from the outset been pretty. Like it just hasn't been her thing. She's like gone along with it. Like it has gone down. And then I think something else that needs to be brought up too in this light
and it's like when you're feeling it too, it's like you're eating, you're literally like trying to take the fluid away. Like that's usually often the goal.
Yeah, that is pretty strange when you think about it from that perspective. Yeah, it's like that fluid is a divine fluid and it's not supposed to go there. And then also I think what goes hand in hand with this one is masturbation, which I've known it's like it just makes sense that that's obvious, like not supposed to do that. But it's like, and I don't know, maybe it should just be all this is all equal and all sodomy, all kind of like, you know, poor thinking and poor behavior. But it does. But maybe it's just this world, and it makes me think that there's like kind of there's worse versions. Like it almost seems like masturbation is like the least bad of all those things. Maybe like anal sex is probably the worst. And yeah, porn is maybe somewhere around masturbation, and all of it. I think all of it is interesting because it's like when I was younger, it's weird because it was often sold to me as like practice or like how to like improve other areas, and it still is like all of those things: masturbation, porn, fellatio, even anal. It's like this is just another way to get pleasure. This is another thing that you can use in your toolbox, your sexual toolbox, so to speak. And I don't know, like for me, like I kind of have always, I've always felt like some, what's the word, pause? Yeah, like some pause when doing any of these things. And the ones I felt the least pause were with masturbation and with oral sex. But again, the worshiping aspect, I think is such a good.
With like a man going down on a woman, like literally probably bowing,
It's like I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It's like so often I feel like I'm doing when I've done it in the past. I'm like this is a sacrificial thing I'm doing for her pleasure, kind of like I'm her partner and I want to make sure she's feeling great. But then you realize that like that's not necessarily. It's just not as good as the traditional what it's supposed to be ever.
I think that's what titties are for,
That's
you're trying to.
Yeah.
I remember Solomon, or maybe it was a New Testament author. It's just like appreciate the breasts.
Yeah.
Or it's like always be ravished with her love and your kids.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way. Maybe that's the way to handle it. Is there are so many other good things that you can focus on instead, and it doesn't have to go to that level. I think the unfortunate part of our world is that there's like the creature aspect of things where you have certain things that like regular humans will never do, but creatures will want to do, or they feel like they need to do to have any pleasure. That we're being let in on. Like there's probably been regular people that have used Viagra or have done anal sex because they've been like they've taken in this world and they just assume it's okay, and but then the whole time they're having these deeper set feelings. They really know their body complex, their temple knows that it's wrong, and it is good to call this stuff out because I think it's almost like celebrated in our world, and you need to repent from it if you have done it, and figure out why it is wrong. Figure out why it doesn't make sense and why you have these feelings, and how the Bible like it kind of does tell you, but you need to parse it out. You need to parse it out in language that makes sense, in a modern tongue, or because I think sometimes it isn't clear cut, and I think it's most clear cut about like anal sex, but the rest of it being awful too, or being wrong too.
No, I think oral's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
It's really like the whole component of I think the person being whole through circumcision. I've always been a supporter of circumcision because the skin absorbs things, and the skin is taking the energy of like the vagina, and then you're giving to her as well. It's like the combination of the two, and you're not going to have that experience when you're not circumcised.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting. And like, it's like a scientific fact, and like people have figured that out, and then some people still don't do it because I don't know. It's an interesting thing, and then there, like I think that's then I guess like that's the good aspect of circumcision, and then the bad aspect is obviously like the whole sacrificial Jewish thing. That's too far. So it would just be like you perform the operation, and then that's it. That's like they have the full exposure to the nerve endings. They can have a regular boy can have sex with the girl and have the full experience, the full like they can fully receive each other, so to speak. Um, yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know. It is interesting though that there is like the I don't know. It's weird because like listening to Hans and hearing him talk about it, it's like and I felt this too. Like maybe there like that is the kind of like physmosis. Like that angle of it. Like the only reason circumcision exists is because there's all these free martins around and they have physmosis. I don't know. It's weird, but like that also makes sense what you're saying, where it's like full exposure of the head. So I don't know.
Yeah, less vulnerability to jack off. There's a specific reference to a woman being a whore, playing the whore, or using her breasts to like please, like pushing her breasts up against someone, right? Sexually.
Oh yeah.
For like that kind of thing. That's specific. Pulling out, that's specific. You're not supposed to do that. Like Genesis.
That always feels wrong. That's always felt wrong. Condoms have always felt wrong. I mean, yeah. It's weird though. It's just it's so strange because you look at like other animals and it does seem like sometimes some of them it seems like there's some pleasure to it, but often it just seems like they're doing the need, like they're fulfilling the need to procreate, and it's like I think our obviously like this is maybe pretty straightforward. In our world, it's all hypersexualized, and it's like telling you to have sex like every day with random people, and the procreation isn't the end goal. Therefore, you have to use condoms and all that stuff. But I think if you do have your one partner and you recognize this world for what it is, and you're not looking at porn, and you're not doing fellatio, you're not doing all the other stuff around it, then yeah, I think it kind of does make sense that when you do have sex, you're not pulling out, you're doing it the way it's supposed to be, and
I think that's one of the motives for Moses being like you shouldn't even be around your woman when she's on her period. Like you're gonna be tempted to sodomize one way or another.
Yeah.
It's probably not necessarily that specific, but also like let's say an example of wet dreams. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to immediately clean that off when to like a river or something if you've done something like that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because it's like it's not with your woman. It's like something that's like it's that perverted thought that you had overnight, and then you want to cleanse yourself of that.
Yeah, dude, I've felt that way before. It's like that I struggle with. I do think wet dreams are like perversions sometimes.
Yeah, it makes sense. I definitely used to have them more when I was like a teenager. And I was like when all that like early porn and like all these children like learning how to masturbate was coming in.
Yeah.
It does make sense. And even like within my having my partner, just I talked about this before, but it's so critical. Just waking up to this world is like, just like there have been times where I'm like having sex with my partner, and then like some tranny will come into like my mind. It's just like really like it's just so prevalent. It's like the association with sex and like a strat is just ridiculous. And I think that's a big you really gotta like unplug and focus on your partner, and like if you have any sort of porn addiction, or if you have any like I think masturbation for years felt like just wrong, and I haven't done it much since I know my partner, and it's felt so much better, so much I just feel more confident in public. I feel like I have more energy. Like I just see people growing up, and older Martins is often the most common, but just people that have like all these like weird sexual perversion addictions, and they look uncomfortable, like because they're hiding it, and it just I think it ruins relationships, and I think like if you're really paying attention and you have these feelings before you do any of these other things that aren't traditional sex, then you should listen to them, because there is that deeper voice that's saying something like, maybe this world has kind of conditioned me to make me think it's okay, but so much about this world is it lies to you, so you need to think twice about just basically getting pleasure and what it actually is doing spiritually. It's the same idea with yoga, really, where are you just doing it for a pleasure, or is there a spiritual component? I think there has to be. And if you look at the spiritual,
like some Hindu god.
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand.
Russian videos say this one. It's Illuminati. They're all disgusting, perverted, naughty sodomites, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Proverbs 6:13. That verse about using hand signs and how perverse they are. He calls them naughty, Illuminati hand signs.
Yeah, it is naughty. It's really it's pretty evil to do it. And
it's like the older ones. Like you could tell that they got off from killing all of God's natural humans, and they loved just showing like the genital hand signs of what they had.
Oh, it's so creepy.
Yeah, the older ones they have they just show their genitals. That's what they do with their hands. Seems like.
Yeah. You mean like old paintings and portraits where they're doing like the hand signs?
No, I'm thinking like Victorian era kind of paintings. Pictures.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Photography. Okay, another one that blew my mind, we have, unfortunately, some testimony from Jesus Christ that's in a 33, okay? So the pastors do with that, this is their favorite verse of all time, okay? They love saying, I'm a born-again Christian, I'm a John 33 Christian. Oh, it's so incessant, the number. Like, I go on Omegle, every person is 23, they're using the age 23, or they're using 27, 3 cubed. It's incessant. Like, it's so obvious if you just go on one of those, sites, you'll see kind of you're using the same numbers.
Yeah, it is. And then, like, they'll often have, like, the inversion of, like, M and M, or E. E is as like, often at the top of a business with a 3 at the opposite of it.
My strat girlfriend was so obsessed with memes, because it's all a bunch of 3s when you turn them around,
Memes?
Yeah, M is 3, E is 3.
Oh, yeah, yep. Yeah. Because they're the third. Is that just the? I mean, the more I think about it, too, it's like the 33 fallen angels, the 33 vertebrae. I think too, maybe it is like the Orson Welles thing, the third sex, like that 30, the 3, this notion of 3s everywhere. And then the 23rd chromosome. I think that video I made, I thought that was like pretty much the best connection I have with 23. Other than it just being like another way of saying 33. But being the 23rd chromosome tells you whether it's the female or the male. That would be...
Yeah, true.
So like, it is freaking everywhere. And like they'll like, I've just had it too many times where like someone will like pause and then say something like that, or like a 3 and a 3. And you're just like, you have to roll, I don't know, just roll your eyes, or I don't know. See if they're throwing a hand sign or something. It's so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
But I think it's like the hardest mindset for me to understand. They just love destruction. I think that's what it is. They just love.
Yeah, like being born on.
Making each gender look stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane to be even like a male in society. It's like the way people think of us before they even meet us, based on how the 14-year-old roided out girls they adopted.
Right. Yeah. It's not even like not even remotely equivalent. That we don't have a very common parallel out there nowadays. And maybe it really is like you're saying, like like they're born, they just think of their like physical body so awful, like they just can't stand it. So like they'll so often love outer space, and they'll just just rag on themselves, like they'll like eat poorly, not give a shit, um, just talk trash because and then ultimately think it's funny, and just it's just that everything's a big joke. I don't know how to like it's weird. It's very clown world out there. Yeah, like I think it's just they want to destroy because they feel they feel like from the beginning just set they were set apart or set on the bad team, and it sucks. And it's weird that there's like it's weird that there's like knowledge of that, like that they know what they are, sort of. I don't know. It's very confusing.
We kind of switched back on that earlier this week. I think it's interesting also the explanation, like the wind bloweth where it listeth, so the wind goes where it wants, and now here's the sounds of like canst not tell where it cometh, whither it goes. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. I think there's some trainers that are all like probably not the cross dressers because then they would actively turn away. But they still don't turn away from their secrets. You know what I'm saying?
They don't. They can't. Yeah. I think
maybe the ones that aren't in on the secret. Well, but it brings an important point to me. It's like we're not looking for natural men. We're not looking for natural men. We're just looking for people that are of the Spirit.
Right. Yeah, that's what's most important. Yeah, just that they want to hear things. They're willing to listen. They're not going to immediately turn you off. Yeah, that they're willing to take on a different point of view, or even just something that's been staring them in the face the whole time, and they just haven't looked at. And that's usually more of what it is. Because I think if you're somebody who isn't awake to this stuff, like you've got to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, somewhat, like kind of confused as to why people don't treat you well. You try to fit in, you do everything right to fit in, but you just can't. You don't know why, and you just keep living this way, and you're just like, oh, I'll just be on the outside and whatever. But eventually, I don't know, like pattern recognition, and then just I think you got to get bored. You have to get bored of the 18th, the 12th, whatever. I don't know what variant they're on of the COVID or whatever. There's always some virus. There's always some big event in the news. It just has to like at some point seem shallow to you, or like there has to be something in like one of those broadcasts that just doesn't seem right and gets you start questioning. And then I don't know, it really boggles my mind. I think people just they aren't willing to accept like the degree of lying that's going on. Like it's so like just normalized, regular. This is every day. We've been doing this forever, and I think people just.
Well, God is no new thing under the sun. The prophets of fall, like you found, I love that verse you found. You're a killer for that. The prophets of fall worship the planets.
Yeah, they do.
And there's a verse from Paul too that talks about kind of like space balls too.
Yeah, I guess that's. Yeah, it's just. It's weird. I mean, maybe it is like this. Just they have to make this. They had to make this whole mythos around their own kind. Where like, if you think about like the Greek and the Egyptian mythology, it is this like you can be a god. It's more like it aligns more with like that mentality, Hindu even, where they're all these different gods. They all have different like powers and stuff. Even like the Marvel, like so much of this is like. In X-Men, they're like mutants, and it's like they're trying to make gods in and of themselves. Whereas what makes sense is like figuring out what you are and just accepting what you are, not like I don't know, like trying to like hoist yourself up. Kind of in the same way we're talking about with the oral sex thing. Like I don't want to be worshipped. I'm not. I don't know some Marvel superhero. It's not that. It's more just like, wow, like we've been lied to so much. What am I missing? What am I like not picking up on? What are like bring me truth, Jesus. Like where are all the things around? Like, what is really going on? And I feel like from their angle, they know a lot of a lot of them know a lot of these lies. So then it then becomes, oh, how can I become this like ultimate version, of all these different gods, and like it's just weird. And then like I don't know, it's always kind of felt like that, where like so many people are really into just like I guess you could call it polytheism, just this notion that in this notion that they themselves can be gods, and I think
oh yeah, they love turning Christianity into that.
Yeah.
These sites I've been going on and talking to random people, I've been just so irritated. Last month it was like plastic Christianity because I've been going to all my churches. I got banned from them, so it's not like I could go back. But now it's like the Muslim shills, like they're obvious Jews, and they're like pretending to like be like kind of on your side about Jesus, and then they're like, well, he's not actually God, like he's like a bunch of other shit. And like I'm like, I agree with you about this Paul thing that you guys think is false apostle. I try to talk about that, but they go blank on the one thing they get right.
Yeah, it's weird that they can't admit that, but I think it's just like there are so few of us out there that are doing this right now. So I think they're honing in on us, and it's really awkward. It's just it's amazing that there aren't more people having these kind of discussions, because it seems like it is so straightforward, and like this world has gotten to be so, I don't know, virtual, like fake. That you think there'd be people that are like just howling in the wind more and breaking out of these things, but it's crazy how like you're talking about it. I'll often go on these Christian channels where they'll say a million things right, but then they're just saying planet, 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 and I'm like, I don't like. There's so little to go off of with that. It's only like reference in the Bible. There's no like deeper explanation of it, and like you're saying, I think it's this like Pauline thing where they need that because the reality is too grim. It's like they'd rather just get along and have all this like affection and gluttony and all the like the little confectionaries of life, instead of just dealing with the reality of like, oh, I'm just pretending that this world is what it is, and oh, my job is fake, and all this like vanity. It's like what's really going on, and I think that there just really isn't a whole lot of people that want the harder life. They want the genuine life. That's what's hard to find. People that want genuine relationships, and they don't want to just look good. I think so many people just want to look good and appear holy. They don't care about they don't care about.
They have their reward.
That's it. Yeah, they have their reward. That's what they want.
My family, each time I meet them, they're like, every morning, every day.
Every day is every day.
This appearance of, and they're always guilting me about like, oh, you got to go to church.
Yeah. The Pauline, like just show up and look good for the family, and like I don't know. Yeah, it is strange that they're like it's just so bizarre, because you think that like people that like are ostensibly nice and they mean well and they think they do, but it's like they won't talk to you about anything of depth. It's like there's no like real spiritual discussion. It's just kind of this like vague, Jesus is saving us, and we've just got to be nice, and that's it. It's like like I don't know. It's strange, and
I love the be more righteous thing God kind of attitude. Like, oh, these people. I'm not going to ostracize anyone. I love trans. I love people. I'm better than God.
Right.
If I'm going to get hate from God for letting those people into this community, then I'll tell them that I'm good. That's a very good idea.
Yeah, it's insane, and I think it's like allowing all these crazy thoughts and all these like I don't know, just like destructive thoughts into people that wouldn't have otherwise had them, and normalizing them, and making this world this like this disgusting vat of like strange fluids and strange like fetishes, and just making it so regular. Like we're just driving around my city, it just feels weird if my daughter were to like point out, like, what's that sign say? And like I mean, like, well, that's like an adult, adult shop where people go for sex toys, like go to buy sex toys, and
Yeah. I think that's such a strat thing. Like,
oh yeah.
$5 of orgasm.
Yeah, it is like a strat thing because they have enough. They need all that to like really get going. And you have to explain that, and just how perverted that is, and how it's so far gone from like what a good example of a relationship is, and just how hard that is to find. Like that seems to be at center with a lot of my like life lessons is, where are the actual genuine relationships I've seen people have, and what did that look like, and how are they treating each other, and it seems like a lot of this world it does everything it can to snuff out good relationships between regular humans, and when you do find it, it's delicate because you realize so many people are going to be like thinking in the back of their head, oh well, I masturbate, or I don't know, like I like satanic media, or so many people have these things that that seem to disallow them from speaking so righteously, because it's like they're all bogged down, and
it's like the rich man turning away crying. Jesus says, "Go sell everything you have. That's how you get into heaven."
Yeah, he can't do it. He loves his status.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just met so many people like that, and I just it's weird because like when I was younger, I could often like be like, oh well, they like worked hard, they've earned it, and now I look at them and I'm just like, oh my god, this is all they have. Like this is it. Like they just like they're looking forward to this moment in their day where they get to like show off to the peasant or whatever. And
I love the whole idea of like being a traveler is like being the upper class.
Yeah.
You're the traveler. You get to vacation other places. They stay. They aren't going to move.
They're not going to move. They're stuck there. They don't have the means. And I think, people get off on this, and I think that's probably like one of the more common ways of thinking about it today is like the people that you see on Facebook or Instagram or on any like just out on the internet that they're like in a different country every other month, and you just know that the only reason they're able to do that is because of their connections or the fact that they're deep into masonry. And it's just like, well, go ahead and see all of your phony baloney sites, and like it's so stupid. It's like it's like they can't have a genuine world, and they get to travel around in this fake Disney world, and it's like it's not even that great. And I don't know. Everywhere you go in the world, there's going to be people that are oppressed in this way. So it's so disingenuous, and it just makes you like not care at all, because it's like, why would you be envious about for them? Like they're just liars, and like, so what if they get to travel around in this like super tainted place? It doesn't.
I love that it's like they have like the hidden lands too. That kind of irks me a little. I want to see like God's creation.
Yeah, God's creation, exactly. Like I don't. They probably fucked those up too. Like I don't even like. It's just with their heads that corrupt. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, like the way they make movies, they make so many reboots. Like there aren't a whole lot of original ideas, and so many things are just like done the same exact way, and they'll just copy paste. And I don't know. That's been a big like wake up for me. Like just watching my parents growing up, and how like they would watch media, and then watching how I watch media is so different. Where it's like I really have difficulty going back to a lot of the stuff I watched when I was younger, because it just isn't humorous anymore. Whereas like some of the stuff like my parents would watch, they can watch it their whole lives. and it's still the same level of funny, and like it doesn't
I knew you were gonna say that.
and it doesn't change. It doesn't change.
You haven't seen that? It's that comedy movie. Fucking hilarious. I turned on Jackass, but you know, like you've heard Jackass, right?
Yeah, of course, Jackass.
It's just some Martin's balls, like rampages a city as like a dinosaur or something. I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah, dude, they're insane. They're on like total rampage. Like these people are nuts, and it's amazing we didn't wake up. We just thought that it was just like eccentric or something, but yeah, like they're pretty like demented and screwed up in the brain, and children is the apt word. I don't. It's interesting going out there, and it's I don't, it's hard to know what's really going on. I think testing the spirits is big, and seeing how phony people are when they communicate is huge, and
I think I just had a good realization. Finish your thought though.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like where I've been at in my life now is in my physical reality, in the work I'm doing, like figuring out which of my clients are good people, which of the people, and like even with my boss and stuff, just like which people seem like they genuinely care, and which people are like. It does seem like they're contracted, and they're saying the same kinds of things. And I think once you start thinking in this way, where you're just like anybody is suspect, and you've got to really test their spirits, and you're not just kind of like going through blasé, or I think kind of like the blinding aspect of this life and the way this world is presented to us is very much like create your own individual identity, and everything's about you. The blinding aspect about that is it doesn't allow you to very easily analyze other people if you're always focused on like your own appearance, so it's kind of like their own downfall is like, you get what I'm saying with this, and it was
you're focusing more on you can't focus on
that. You can't focus on that. Yeah, so I think that's kind of what I've been able to do better since I've woken up is just like look at the whole situation and look at the people that I'm around and understand their motives better without having the blinders on and thinking that like, oh, I've just got to like, I don't know, just be this like ultimate version of me, this God version of me. Because I think it's important to be kind and good to people, but it's also important to like test the spirits well and have faith in God and not just have faith in people blindly. And that's what I used to do. I just used to have faith in people blindly, and that made it so easy for people to just take advantage or to take whatever they wanted. Whereas now it's more of like a faith in God, so everybody is on trial, so to speak, where it's like you can easily discern where somebody is being more controlling or manipulative, where in the past it would have been just like, oh, well, I just have faith in them. I just, I just believe in people. It's like, yeah, I think that's the crazy part about it is it's like, it's not, it is very intimate. It's in your family. It's very like, it's very subtle how they can behave at times, but it's like once you take your faith away from man or just like your physical surroundings, and you grow out. Yeah, it makes it so it's easier to see. Oh, the spirit of what they're doing. Oh,
Okay, yeah, and I like the thing that was in my head. I've always loved guest speakers' fiery passion. So I think this is it right here that explains this. So when the serpent is cursed, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, right? Between thy seed and her seed, right? So the first reference to the seed of the devil,
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's strange is, like real woman is really literally all hatred towards women on all these characters, like it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the fact that they go to the length of doing the moon bumps, it just shows how much they hate them, and you can feel it. Like there's some stuff I've seen of like just Beyonce and like the hand sign she makes and the looks in her eyes. It just looks dead. It's just like this like hellish demon, and
Well, I think women are so, like naturally graceful, where they can just like go anywhere and like present something and do it well. I think that's what they're intended to do. I loved my school presentations where it was like a real woman talking about it. It was so engaging.
yeah, they have this kinder nature to them, and there isn't this like this clear layer of phoniness that a lot of I had a handful of decent strat teachers growing up, but they were few and far between. But yeah, I think the ones that were better were just genuinely just more manly. They were just like what they are. The one like that's what I would notice. It's like when you test the spirits, when you really know what's going on, when you're just being honest about it. It's easy to see. Like the ones that were like legally blonde and were just trying to like, oh, I'm a girl. My girl problems every other sentence between the teachings. You're like, okay, you're not. Stop. Like,
this sounds like the Red Lodge Blue Lodge thing. Like I said, so after the enmity between the seeds, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. I think this is the red versus blue. I think it's the red versus blue idea because it makes purple. I think. I don't know. It's just interesting. The whole bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Yeah, bruise the head and bruise his heel. Red and blue lodge.
In some way, the women are having an important part in destroying Satan. It seems the seed of the woman.
Yeah, the seed of regular women are having a part in destroying Satan. Yes.
Like I can say personally, like maybe one of my exes who possibly wasn't a strat. I don't know if that exes. But there was just she was what made me question and look up like maybe I'm not right about flat earth, and that's the first step.
That's good, yeah. Maybe it was like that. Just she was a regular woman, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Or she was just not like down that path. She's like willing to entertain other. Yeah, it is weird how like there are certain people with certain characters in my life where it just seemed like they were bogarting information, like they were like kind of like dogs, like bulldogs, kind of like this is the answer, this is the only answer, and I'm just like this seems so wrong. Like, and usually it's like a Martin in a space thing for me in my life when I look back. It's like they go so crazy about Higgs boson or just some weird. They'll go off on some tangent about space and how great it is, and then like really need to like cement that. And I'm just saying it just feels off, but
yeah,
it made it easy for me to push into that. But yeah, I think the true kindness of a real woman. I think it's like most people have seen it in some form, and it's not often presented in media, and like they kind of give you this contorted version of it. And I think it is one of the biggest signatures of why you need to disconnect, because it's so hard to find like real women teachers out there, because in real women guides, and I think they are like this kind of like subtle, like kind of like where like outside of stuff I think is cool. There's maybe like one other girl I found who really is like diving in, maybe two. But like it seems like it seems like it seems like mostly like the male's role of this the regular male's role of this movement is to kind of be loud and noisy, and kind of like in our backwards world, the feminists are all these strats. They're kind of loud about it. It's like we're loud on this end of like the letter of the law and all this, and it's not like the women aren't, but it's like their way of guiding, their way of teaching, their way of helping is a much different kind of love and understanding, where like we're more like, I don't know, just like boisterous and like this is the way, and like
understand. They like you said, it's the niceness. They want everyone to get along. It's unfortunately that pacifism, but it is peacemaking that doesn't always get the best results. Okay, I want to move on to the curse of Adam. I think I understand this one the least. I have a couple interpretations. Okay, so because thou hast hearkened it's interesting. So when Joseph was with Potiphar in Egypt, he no longer hearkened to her voice. So it's like hearkening. It's like, oh, Adam, come over here. And has eaten of the tree which I commanded thou shalt not eat. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow thou shalt eat it all the days of thy life. Cursed is the ground. Okay, so maybe that's a very literal approach. There wasn't weeds in the Garden of Eden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thorns and thistles shall grain to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. Is that what, I don't know, is that reference to like girls and red? I don't know. It seems it's like very literal, but maybe it's not. What if it's like the thorns and thistles shall bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field? Maybe that's another sexual thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What verse is this? I want to have it up so I can read it while you're talking about it. Okay.
In this next one, in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread until thou turnest to the ground. That one seems very literal. I've heard about that.
Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for dust you are, to dust you shall return. To fulfill your essence of life, you shall eat bread. Bread always reminds me of like skin. It's weird. If you were to like think of like food as organs, like bread always like the bread of your flesh. Bread is like it's like your skin. It's like you have to. It's like it's not like necessarily healthy for you. It's not full of nutrients, but it's like salt. It's like necessary to eat. It puts it. You can put everything inside of it. Have a sandwich. This is interesting. That's more of a literal interpretation of the bread aspect, but yeah, like kind of you have to understand your flesh.
Okay, this is it. So because Adam, so the way Eve, she gets punished to separate and one way, then you're gonna get pain, you're gonna get childhood, and then Adam for him, he wanted so bad to please his wife or whatever. Now she's not going to like him, but she's going to desire him.
Okay. I mean,
no, I think the thorns and thistles thing is probably just weeds.
Yeah, actually, the question is the ground fence.
What other punishments are there? Okay.
Sorrow, deception, and sorrow thou shalt bring for children in thy desire.
Okay, let's move on to the next verse. I can't really think of anything else in there. It's very little where Adam's going to have to work for the rest of his life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like he was working so hard for it, people will go up and work in sorrow, right?
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah.
Okay, next curse, Cain. Canaanites. I think they might be one of the groups that might have been supposed to be like eliminated. I do not know that. Or Ammonites, I don't know.
Yeah, Syrians, Amalekites, Ammonites, and then Canaanites are all like the ones that seem. Philistines are another one that come up regularly as being in opposition to the tribe of Israel.
Maybe it's just like a training civilization at that point.
Yeah, I mean it's gotta be, right? I think so much of just like. Yeah, and it is interesting where I think like a lot of these other nations, it's like they lack culture and they're violent and barbaric and I think it does have to do with just like their temples being flipped, and I think so much of what we're exposed to nowadays, whether it be like with sex toys or with weaponry, is derived from these tribes. It's like stuff that we would have never come up with but exists because it can. and there's all these perverted people out there that like torture, or they like they're sadistic, they like sadism, they like pain. It's very it's strange. Um, and then there is an often. It was interesting too. If you mention all these places, it's like Philistines, Philippi, like Philippines. There's some places like in even Canaan. There's a lot of towns called Canaan.
There's freaking Bethlehem in America too.
Lots of There's quite a few Bethlehems, and it is interesting when you look into like these tribes, and if there is like a modern day equivalent or a name that may be some seed as to where it was before, or
yeah. So this is the seed of black people, and their curse is curse from the earth. Sorry. Now thou art cursed from earth, which hath opened your mouth to receive thy brother's blood. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not forth yield unto thee for strength. Be fugitive and vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. You can just look at rates of crime.
Yeah.
And then it's like this guy was talking about that, but he was saying that all the different variations of black people, it's just other people who were also killed and punished by God apparently. I don't know. So what Lamech says is two wives first polygamous, God polygamous stuff. I think Adam was like speaking something holy when he was talking about cleaving to one person as far as getting both.
Yeah.
But Lamech said back to him two wives, and the other one is Ada, and the other Zilla, Godzilla. Okay. And Ada, okay, whatever.
Oh yeah, Godzilla. That could be that right there.
Yeah, Godzilla. I think that might be a video reference. Not like it matters.
Yeah.
What does Lamech say that? Lamech said unto his two wives, Godzilla, hear my voice. He was Lamech. Hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to my wounding, a young man to my heart. And Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, and truly Lamech 77fold. So the one blessing that God gives this group of people is like, if anyone tries to fuck with you, you're gonna fuck with them back 7 times as much.
Oh yeah, so they get avenged sevenfold. There you go.
Yeah, avenged sevenfold. And it's like, what did Esau do? He married the Canaanites. What did Ham do? He had a Canaanite wife. I think Ham's descendants, so it's not just Cain's, but Ham's also has a curse placed on them. The only people that survive the flood were looking at his father's nakedness. This whole perversion.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder if that's literal, or if that's like, if that's literal, or if that's like knowing. I don't know, like knowing your father's intentions. I don't know.
Well, it's like he was drunk, passed out, and he saw it happen. Then when he told his brother, he's like something was like funny or something, and then the brothers had reverence to the father and turned around and covered his father with a tarp or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like uncovering his nakedness, like you think there might have been something gay going on.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
You're kind of right. That does sound like that. Let's go into.
Yes.
So, I like that.
I wonder too. It's like the tribe of Cain knows who they are, and they know that they're cursed. And if it is a thing like, it is like kind of like that, like. Yeah, it's like it is like the Addams family, where they kind of like have their, they are like an inverted thing. They have their role, but it's like they won't mess with you directly. But if you if you do something to them, then they can really let you have it. And they let you know, but based on how they behaved, that they're not to be messed with. It's so weird though. It's like it's like a necessary evil thing. I don't know. There's this guy that like walks by our house and he's like, I don't know. I see him all the time. I don't know if he's like a student at the school nearby or what, but he just like he totally could be one of these people where he's just like tatted up everywhere. He's got like all these piercings, and he's got like no hair except for like one long beard, and just like he has like he can't even like say hello. He's just like so like he can't like he just like I've like tried saying hello to him a couple times and he won't even do it. Like he won't even like acknowledge our existence, and I don't know if it's just like yeah, it's weird. It's like I don't know if he's just exposed to all this darkness and he just won't talk, or if um, he's just part of this tribe and it's just kind of like these parallel lines where it's like they know what they are and they don't really interact with us. And I have felt that where it's like you could call them like Masonic families or what, but there were like certain people that it seemed like they wanted to hang out with me just purely because it's like, oh, it's a regular man, see how he behaves, experiment with him. And then there was like other.
Yeah, people get so mad when like they're like all hype, they get to like study us right from like in my room doing like research and reading the Bible.
Yeah, and then
they have to give me their snap notes on what they think of my life.
Right, it's ridiculous. And then so you have like that, but then you also have people that like immediately like you look at they won't even they seem uncomfortable around you. They don't even like they can't even like handle you being in the room, and it's like yeah, like that almost feels like a tribe of Cain, where it's like if there are kind of like other layers to this, there's like kind of the like more innocent ones versus the ones that like they know they're evil. They don't want to like even get into the other lane. They just don't even want to like engage with you at all. And
yeah, it's annoying. And by the way, it's not the uncovered nakedness. He just saw the nakedness. That's what it says.
Oh, okay.
But it said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brother." And he said, "Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be a servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be a servant." It's great. So this is the three racial groups, I think, and kind of their distinguishments.
Okay.
And I guess, yeah, it's interesting because they all have their own wives they choose from that time. That's pretty much the genes we have passed on from the flood.
So we have the Canaanites, the Israelites, and then who?
Okay, so Hebrews are like white people as a whole.
Okay.
Israelites are a large majority. Like Abraham's descendants were supposed to be as big as the number of the stars, right?
Yeah.
But there were still other Hebrews in different areas, but they were the least of all people. Like they were just kind of like the ice wall dwellers.
Okay.
And then the Jews are Germans.
Oh, okay, yeah, pretty much. It makes sense.
The Jews are in plain sight of them.
Yeah, like he is one himself, and that's yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It's like raven hair, eyes like doves, white as milk. I don't know. It seems like I could be wrong. I don't know exactly what it is. But it's interesting. Arabic, that just means he makes imaginary like part. Canaanite, Edomite.
Yeah.
It's all these little subsets. I imagine Asians would be one of the other three groups. Whites, Asians, blacks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Then yeah, how the
we don't think Native Americans or anything but Asians. We don't think Aboriginal Australians were really necessarily. Well, okay, that's probably wrong. So the islands probably have their own distinct kind of families and stuff.
Yeah.
Generally, they look about the same, I'd say.
Yeah, they look very similar. It's this like.
I think the Australian Aboriginal thing is just to make the Australians think, oh, that's not someone else's. It's like the Native American hoax over there.
Right. It's there. Yeah. Exactly. It's the same idea. It's a similar hoax.
Yeah,
they don't have.
and then for Europe, it's like you have the most violent history of anyone imaginable. In America, this is the Native Americans' land, and we did slavery, and we're just going to divide and conquer.
Right. Yeah. And all that's asinine. It makes sense. It makes so much sense that people that we call African American, it's such a misnomer. It's actually they're Native American, and yeah. And then there's even the Indian thing. Like there's so much confusion that they throw. Like the most common other name for a Native American is the Indian, and then you have India as a country.
When I was a child, all the time.
It's so confusing. They make it so confusing when it.
And it's all this reverence, this disgusting racial worship of someone you're being invaded, and you have to worship them by giving them all these different titles. You know, they're the Aboriginal people. Like how many syllables is that? They're the Native Americans. And then it turns out they're the African Americans. They're the people of color.
Right. Yeah.
That you should be worried about your nation, and everyone should be worried about their own nation. And we're at a state where it's just complete total chaos.
Yeah.
It's just the kings of the East that have any semblance of nationality at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest is it's a bunch of mutts out there.
Yeah, like I think it dope to live in Russia. Like they seem to care about their people genuinely, even probably a little bit. The more east you go, the more normal it gets. I think like they get away from Babylon. You know, like isn't that what the Bible says? Like people get out of there. It's just gonna be like this massive milestone that falls into water. That's what's gonna happen to this place.
Yeah, it is. It's going down in the heap, and you just know it because of the way people interact with each other. It's like there's so many superficial things, and yeah, we desperately look for solace not solace in true connection outside of Babylon because it's built. Yeah, it's literally built to make no sense, and it's all this big bed of lies and people. I mean, I even think like the Native American one and the slave one are huge when it comes to American education. But I even think of like a big one in my life was the whole Italy thing. So you have like the mafia, mobsters, which is largely fabricated. It's got to be, and then you have.
Like it's such an insane thing that happens with alcohol. Just one day, I guess they are such perpetual alcoholics, and they're mentally set at 14. They probably shouldn't be able. It probably shouldn't be legal for them.
It probably shouldn't. Yeah, because it would do some serious damage, and it would only further their demented behavior. But yeah, it's just. Yeah, it's like I guess what I'm trying to get at is kind of what you're talking about, where like the holier than thou, like we're the Aboriginal people, we're the Native American people. Like I often would find that in my neighborhood, or even just around people that were like I was around a lot, where it was this kind of like veneration, and I saw it in a lot of media of this like of just like different like cultures and I guess like Hans has a video on this talking about the sports teams and how it's the same thing as like, you know, being like the nation that you're from, and how people take pride in that, and it's so disingenuous, and it's like such a big like for me to take pride in being an American, I don't even know what that really means, and it's also like it's so ridiculous. It's like clearly like a misplacement of. I don't know. It's like kind of arrogant. It's like, oh, we're special and other places aren't. And I don't know. I've always found it to be strange. And yeah, like in a big way, this racial thing. It's Native American lie, the slave lie. It does seem to be there so that you create this divide and conquer mentality of, oh, like you know, they're so special. They know how to really heal the world, and you're this white devil. Or even if you're not this white devil, like you're some other race and. You know, you don't really get it. It's just, yeah. It seems like most peoples have this kind of angle, that they play, and it's so corrupted at its center because it is obviously this like divide and conquer mentality of we've got to venerate them so that people come in and they respect them, but then it's this whole they're not even real to begin with, and the way we're selling it to people is not even real. Yeah, that's Babylon, where you don't even know that you're like your pride is in the right spot. Like if you I'm prideful for African Americans because of all the problems they've had to undergo, and they still thrive. They still like thrive in so many ways in our world today. But then it's like, but what about all the like fake shootings and all the just the nonsense of the slave ships, and like what are you really prideful about? Like what does this even mean? And I think that's Babylon, where it's like any sort of like unknown pride that you have. Like if you're like, like I'm German, or I'm I should be proud of my German history. And I'm like, I barely even know, I don't even speak German. It's like, I feel like so many people will take their like ancestry and just like go so far with it, and in terms of like how prideful they are of it. Or even like, being a Native American. It's like so many people will be like, I'm a Native American, I have like 1% Native American blood, because it gives them that little, they understand the land better, or this weird veneration of the tribe, veneration of the group.
Yeah, I love when it's the time in class for the oppressed group to speak up and enlighten us all about what we don't get right. That's always my favorite.
Yeah, and don't forget that we're all contributing to climate change, and we're all of us personally are doing it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I got it. Okay, so there's spirit that's in, and obviously there's life in the fluid that we were referencing earlier. I've met so many fucking terrorists that love to have their meat ultra rare.
Ew.
It's so disgusting, like seeing all the fucking blood. You're supposed to pour out the blood out of meat like water, But they love just keeping it so juicy, They gotta pick up their 7 demons as fast as they can.
Yeah, it's gross, and they do seem to have a obsession with blood. And I remember like they would even like I remember so many times growing up hearing that like, I want my steak bloody, and like it's just kind of weird.
What's the one wish? The damsel that can get whatever she wants from King Herod. She wants like the blood of someone holy. She wants the head of John the Baptist on a platter.
Yikes.
Yeah. I think that's the easy way to identify witches, is the obsession with blood.
Yeah, it is. That's such a good point. Is like the talking about it, But like, what's interesting to think about too is just Gattaca, like the whole eugenics aspect, and people who talk about the like nature versus nurture thing, and we'll talk about nature. We'll talk more about like, the family. That like if you want to get like, because a lot of people they can like play very well, like the witches, they can play very close. They can be very smart and wise about how they use their words, but I've noticed that people that I'm very skeptical of, they put a lot of weight in your blood. They're not like looking at your life and what you're doing. They're like, well, your family did this, and I don't know. It's something that's always been like telling to me about just it just seems off. It's to like put so much.
It's a whole competition society.
Yeah, competition society, and just this this idea that like, because my great grandfather was an alcoholic, therefore it's in my family. It just there's so much of that where like the blood is considered to be such an important factor, where it might be, but it shouldn't be given such weight. And I think like you're saying, like if there are people that are just continually are referencing it or just talking about it in some way or another, then clearly they're a witch, and they view blood in a different way than than I think you're supposed to. I think a person of God, a child, it's like you're saying, like if you have the steak, you just wash it away. You wash the blood away. It's like blood is like that. It's like water. I think if you're more of like a witch, you see it as like this like alchemical, I don't know, like alchemical ingredient where it's like creepy. It's like you're thinking of how to use it and how to like manipulate it, and like to actually like write a book like Frankenstein is pretty crazy, but when you think about it in this like witchy mentality, it makes sense. It's like I would not come to a book like Frankenstein naturally on my own, like making life out of nothing and just reviving someone like that and just doing it because I wanted to see if I could do it and not caring about the demented lifestyle that person would have. But if you're somebody who just sees blood as this kind of like, oh, I can manipulate it how I want to alchemically type of thing, then yeah,
I had